Hello and welcome to my full review of the Warhammer 40,000 Shadowspear box set. I've built all of the models, I've reviewed all of the models, and I've fully reviewed each side in its entirety. This is what I like to do with all of the box sets that I purchase. Go through each model individually, review that faction, go through the other factions models and all of them, and then every single model in the box set. Now this set will cost you £105, which to start off with I was very interested specifically in all of the brand new Primaris Vanguard Space Marine models. However, what happened was I started to like and enjoy the Chaos Space Marine models, the Demonkin, more, and as such I was then much more motivated to start up my own Chaos Space Marine army. I thought I'd never make one. I thought I was Space Marine and Loyalist through and through. Okay, even though I've got a big Orc army, an Eldar army, and a very reproductive Tyrannid army with its Gene Stealer cult following. Okay, I get it. I fell in love with these Chaos Space Marine models. The Vanguard Space Marines, not so much. And I'll explain why through the review. First of all, what do you get in the set? Well, I emailed MathsCat and she emailed me back, and she said that if you buy all of these models individually, it's gonna cost you about £300 if and when Games Workshop choose to release the unit separately, and that's based on current prices such as 10 Primaris Space Marines costing £35, characters costing about 20, the Venom Crawler costing 30, and so on. So you're saving almost £200 by getting this set as opposed to buying the miniatures separately. All of the models in this set were brand new at release of the set, not like most of the box sets where they just release a brand new HQ unit for each faction. All of these were never before seen and they're all brand new, and the Chaos models in particular then set that bar so high for the other Chaos Space Marine releases to follow, which unfortunately in my opinion the Terminators didn't quite live up to that high bar, but all of the other models did. First off, I thought the Vanguard Space Marines looked really cool. I liked the kind of kill team, elite force, scout versions of the Primaris Space Marines, and in a way the Vanguard Space Marines do kind of work like that. You've got 10 infiltrators here, which look a lot like Reavers without their awesome cool skull mask helmets, which is a bummer. They're all in Phobos armor, I need to say. Then you've got the captain here. You've got a lieutenant. I'm so pleased that this box set included yet another lieutenant. A librarian in Phobos armor, 3 eliminators, which are kind of like heavy support snipers, and then 3 suppressors, which are sort of like inceptors, but they're not as tough, and instead of meteoric descent, they just zip down from the atmosphere on their little grav chutes. Speaking of which, the lieutenant has a grav chute, so him and those suppressors can grav shoot in. The rest of them have this rule called concealed positions, which basically means that they can set up on the battlefield no less than 9 inches away from enemy models. So they're quite a sneaky kind of force. Whereas the Chaos Space Marine force, the Demonkin on the other hand, is a very offensive, with more meaning to that word than I initially expected. They've got a variety of ferocious weaponry, a very fast kind of Black Widow spider demon engine over there. The HQ is the stuff of nightmares. You've got some greater possessed, not normal possessed, but greater possessed here. You've got 10 Chaos Space Marines, which are great because all of them are individual, and then you've got 2 obliterators, which kind of like Centurions, tainted by the warp and tainted by chaos. Speaking of individual models, all of the Chaos Space Marines in this set are individual, which means you don't have any duplicates. Of course, if you bought another set, then yes, they would all be duplicates because they're all monopose miniatures. They'd require a fair bit of kit bashing and customization to change them. You can't really change their arms in certain positions. They go together like they do on the box, and the same for the Primaris. However, unfortunately with the Primaris Vanguard Space Marines, you do get 5 twins. So that means that you have 5 Primaris that have their kind of doppelganger alternatives, which is a fair amount when you think about it. Having 10 Space Marines that look like each other is a lot when that force has 19 and the Chaos force has 16. In retrospect, I'd much rather have had the Primaris have some kind of scout vehicle or some kind of vehicle to mitigate the number of models. I would have rather them had less models and some kind of, you know, vehicle or something. I think the Chaos Space Marine side, the Demonkin, have got it just right. You've got 2 close combat monsters, 2 very decent heavy support monsters with the close combat weapons. You've got a solid HQ that uses those psychic powers. You've got a fast attack demon engine with brilliant long range weaponry and good close combat abilities. And then you've got the Chaos Space Marine squad that has a great variety in close combat weapons. They're mainly close combat focused. They're very balanced in that they've got 4 with chainswords and bolt pistols, and the other 6 with like the champion with the chain axe, the heavy weapons guy with the autocannon. You've got 5 ranged weaponry Chaos Space Marines with the plasma gun, the 3 bolt guns and the autocannon, and then you've got the aspiring champion with the plasma pistol and chain axe. All of them look really, really cool in the Chaos Space Marine side. Let's have a look at some of the models individually. I think there's just too many HQs about for Primaris. If I'm giving you my opinion, you've got the Lieutenant, which is kind of like a second hand, the right hand to the Captain. I can't really show you unless I sort of zoom in there to get him on the light. He's quite a cool model and one of the best models in the Primaris force. He's got 2 knives, he's got that carbine bolt gun. Yeah, he's quite decent looking. But then to follow up that HQ with another 2 HQs is quite crazy. You've got the Captain here. Again, he's quite a cool model, but a bit of a pain to put together. And then you've got the Librarian. So 3 HQs, quite crazy when you consider that the force itself only consists of 2 troop choices, or you know, it can be one troop choice, 1 heavy support, which is only 3, and 1 fast attack, which is only 3. Speaking of which, the infiltrators, I say they're probably the worst out of the set, but actually I would say that the eliminators and the suppressors are out of the whole set. The Vanguard aren't too bad, but again, there are 3 duplicates in the squad. This is probably one of the coolest models in my opinion. He's just throwing a grenade, smoke grenade there. But then you get these ones which you can't really do much about. Look at these duplicates, look, if you can see them. Both in the same sort of boring bolt pistol position, and then you've got these 2 which are in a same boring position pose, and then you've got these ones firing. Again, pretty boring when you compare them to the Chaos Space Marines and what those guys are doing. You've got the elites. So you've got no elites in the force, you've just got the heavy support snipers, which are these eliminators. They're alright, but again, you get 2 in that squad that look exactly the same. And then the suppressors, for some reason, the sergeant's forgotten his helmet. A lot of these sergeants and lieutenants forget their helmets. Yeah, they're a bit... I'd much rather them sort of be bracing themselves or firing that from long range, you know what I mean, like bracing to have some kind of long range artillery fire coming in. And they do have kind of scenic bases, but not really worth a mention. They didn't really do an awful lot to them. Kind of, I think, you know, what's the point really with those scenic bases. Okay, so that's the Primaris Vanguard force. Chaos Space Marines, the HQ is amazing. Really like the Master of Possession. He's quite good in close combat, but where his abilities lie is he's a great offensive and buff character for the rest of the Chaos Space Marine force. He's got so much presence as well on this big 40mm base. Stunning looking model. I love this sort of ram's head helmet on him. Brilliant model. And he is really the linchpin of your army because he's going to buff a lot of your units. The Greater Possessed have never looked better. They're almost on par with the Forge World Word Bearers Possessed, which has actually motivated me to get them. So they'll be featured on my channel at some point. Here's the other Greater Possessed. They're both unique, both individual. Games Workshop could have done both of them the same, but they didn't, and likewise they could have done the same with the Obliterators, and I'm pleased that they didn't. These big guys, these big sort of Centurions, awesome looking minis. I love the plasma cannon on there and the heavy bolter and the multi-melter. I also love this sort of onslaught Gatling cannon and heavy flamer on this Obliterator with this drum fed magazine for him. It would have been cool also to have another weapon on there maybe, but there we go. Really cool looking minis. And the Chaos Space Marines themselves, over on the right, are just stunning little models. Really fell in love with them. Look at that Aspiring Champion. Well, if I can zoom into him. Fantastic model. Love the chain axe and the plasma pistol. I won't go through all of them, but you certainly feel like you get your money's worth with the Chaos stuff in this set. Here is the autocannon with a bit of a scenic base too, which is slightly unheard of for sort of normal troop choice. And then you've got various other ones with the chain swords and the bolt guns. And then this is one of the reasons why you buy the kit right here, the Venom Crawler. Excellent looking creature, really goes well with the Mythic Blight Haulers. So if you want to build like a Purge Legion, this will go well with them, especially if you sort of spray it in the Death Guard colours and have it running around as a Death Guard Purge Demon Engine. Myself, I'm quite happy to paint all of these corn red and have them as Word Bearers, have them as a force of Word Bearers. Then I've got Word Bearers, Corn and Death Guard, which I'm really looking forward to. Anyway, that is the Venom Crawler, one of the best models in the set in my opinion, along with the Chaos ones. I didn't think that I would like Chaos as much as I thought, but this set completely turned me around. One thing I'll also say is you get the book on the left, the mini codex, and for the Vanguard Space Marines, and you get the book on the right, the Demonkin. They're both 24 pages each, and they're kind of mini codexes that have all of the data sheets for all the models in the set for use in 8th edition Warhammer 40,000. Big fan of that, and I'm really pleased that all of the Demonkin models in there made it into the Chaos Space Marine Codex. If there are two books that I recommend you pick up if you get this set and you like either one of the forces, you know, if you really like the Primaris Space Marines in this, and you haven't tried any of the other Space Marines, you know, I won't judge you. That's fine if you think they look cool. But if you're going to get the books, it would be the Codex Adeptus Astartes Space Marines. I think this book is a bit more pricey than normal codexes. I think it's £30 because it contains 208 pages, so it is the thickest codex out of all of them, just because Space Marines have the most units. If you go on the Games Workshop web store, you'll find that out. The other book that I recommend, if you like the Chaos, is the new Chaos Space Marines Codex. You'll know it's the new one because it has this number 2 here, and it has all of these models, rules in, and all of the brand new Chaos Space Marine stuff, like the Archlord Discordant and the new Abaddon model and the new rules for the Havocs. So they're the two books that I recommend if you like either of these forces or both. The other thing that you get with the set is of course the instruction guide, and you get a lovely little paint guide too if you want to paint them as Black Legion. This book I think is about 18 pages, but it's very easy to follow. You won't really have any issues. You don't get any spare parts at all in the set, so the models that you see are the models that you'll build. And then the final book that you get is a little bit like a codex called Shadowspear, and in there you've got a little bit of the lore, and then you've got some game rules and missions. So you've got a fair few number of those, along with their corresponding stratagems for you to, you know, play out a little campaign with all the models in the set. Now, I've said it before and I will say it again, I really would have wished that the Vigilus #2 book, Vigilus Ablaze, was included in this set, and I think if they put some dice in there and range rulers and all those other things, I think it would have been sort of like a better kind of package, because a lot of people and myself have compared it to the Dark Imperium set. Now I know that came out, well, I say 2 years ago, but still that was a very decent set for the models that were included. All of those models in that set were brand new too, but you did get the big hardback rulebook in there, and I think that's what's missing in this set. Games Workshop are charging £10 more for this set, which, you know, on face value sort of does look like a starter set, but it has kind of less content in it, less miniatures, less books, you know, or less literary content. I know it is meant as an expansion, like all of these box sets, but that's because we know that it's an expansion. But people coming into the game for the first time, but like the miniatures more in this set than the Dark Imperium ones, which I would understand why, may not understand that as well. So my favourite miniature in the whole set, I have to give it to the Venom Crawler. Stunning miniature, great creativity. All of the other models below the Venom Crawler are all of the Chaos models, and then after the Chaos models probably be the Lieutenant or the Librarian. So they're my favourite models in the set. What do you guys think of this Shadowspear, and actually Games Workshop's box sets in general? Do you like what they do in terms of value by bundling old models with like a new HQ unit, or would you rather see more of these kind of sets where all of the miniatures are new, but next time with a focus on each model being individual? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below. This set for me definitely met my expectations. Overall, the Primaris were a little bit of a letdown, but the Chaos stuff was so good that it motivated me to start a separate Chaos Space Marine army. So I'm grateful for it for that, and it did its job. Thank you so much for your patience in me releasing all of these reviews. Of course, you'll have seen that Games Workshop released the Chaos Space Marines new units and products after this set hit, so they kind of took preference. So again, thank you for your patience in waiting for all of these reviews and this final one. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.